Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Sane, and today we are going to be doing a unit review featuring Bernadetta. Bernadetta is a really funny character in Three Houses. Not really her character-wise, more just as a unit. So let's talk about a couple things. So I'm going to go into what makes her good, what makes her bad. You know, what's kind of the use and importance of using her as a unit. This is mostly considering matting mode, of course, because normal mode, hard mode, you can do whatever you want for the most part. But manning mode is a lot more strict on things. You have to kind of follow certain paths to really fully utilize a unit. And you know, kind of highlight what she's good at and highlight the weaknesses of her and how you should be using her. So first off, let's just start with her. Let's just get a little baseline of her. So as you see on the top right over here, her base stats. Let's take a look at her base stats first. She has 8 strength, 5 magic, 7 dex, 7 speed, 5 luck, 4 defense, 2 res, and 6 charm. These are, and 25 HP. These are not good base stats. Like, these are just not good at base stats. Let's go back and kind of take a look at somebody like Ferdinand, who's got a lot better base stats. Same strength, but better speed, much better defense, you know, better charm, just like a few points above just everything, basically. Like just a few points over everything, pretty much. The only thing she's got going better than, you know, Ferdinand in the example is just some better dexterity and better, not even better magic. Like, yeah, her base stats are just leave a lot to be desired. Let's say she won't. Yeah, 8 strength isn't a lot. Like Ferdinand doesn't come with a lot of strength. You know, 8 strength isn't a lot. 7 speed isn't really. It isn't the worst, but it's not great. It's pretty average. 4 defense, these are really squishy. Plus the 25 HP is pretty normal, but still, just she starts out really squishy. She starts out like she's going to be getting doubled a lot, and her chip damage is just not going to be meaningful enough. However, her personal ability, Persecution Complex, helps mitigate her bad strength a lot. So Persecution Complex it grants 5 attack plus 5 attack when the unit is not at full HP. So this doesn't matter if Bernadetta is at 24 HP or if she is at 1 HP. She constantly gets that 5 plus 5. And this can pair well with a lot of really like interesting abilities and a certain combat art we will get to later. Let's take a look at her strengths. So she has strengths in bows and lances, and then she has a budding talent in riding, which once you get that budding talent, gives her pass, and then she gets proficiency in riding as well. She has weaknesses in 4 categories, that is swords, axe, brawling, and heavy armor. Brawling and heavy armor really doesn't matter that much. Like, the only thing that would matter is if you really wanted to get weight -3 on her, which even then she still like doesn't have the best speed. She still won't have the best speed because of her low base and she has a good growth, but so don't worry, like she really won't be doubling no matter what you do. And the weakness in axe kind of sucks because it takes a little bit longer to get the brigand for death blow for more damage output, but don't let that stop you. Just because they have a weakness in axes, you know, getting to brigand, getting to C axes is pretty easy. Even just get the D plus and just try it. Just try the certification a couple times. You know, save state. It's pretty easy. And then the weakness in swords is more of a hassle for one thing I'll talk about later, but really isn't that important. Let's get into her base. Let's get into her growth rates first. This is kind of just looking at her as a base character. HP is 35%. Strength is 35%. That's a low HP growth. The strength growth is pretty like average. Like it's pretty average for like a weaker character. 20% magic. Yeah, don't use her magic. 55% dex and 50% speed. Those are good. Those are just good solid growth rates. Obviously, there's characters like Petra, Leone, even like Yuri, who have like 60 or more speed growths, but so she's not the speediest unit in the game. But 50% speed growth is nice, and 55 in dex is nice. So meaning by the time she gets level 10, she should have 5 more points. She should realistically have 5 more points in speed and dex. So that would be 12 in speed and dex at level 10, which is pretty good. 25% luck. Luck's kind of an interesting stat. Really only affects like magic hit rates, which she's not going to be using magic because of that 20% growth rate, and critical hit avoid, and she is just so squishy, so she should never see combat anyways. And 30% res, that's pretty nice. That's nice. She's mostly going to be an archer, so if she ever gets attacked by a mage, you know, she'll be able to hold her own. Although that 2 base res is just not looking good for her. And then 35% charm. With a base stat of 6, that's just like neutral. Pretty neutral, pretty like average charm. Maximum stats, I wouldn't worry about that too much. You're not going to be hitting that really realistically unless you're just like grinding like a mother lover. So let's go to spells. Spells, pretty decent attack magic, but again, like her magic growth is so bad. Like you won't like Thoron's good, but you don't want to use this. You never want to use it as attack mage. It just doesn't work out. Her faith magic, however, is actually really interesting. She gets physic, which is just nice long range healing, even though she won't be healing a lot because of her low growth. Just being able to add a little touch is just always nice. And then she gets rescue, which can be really interesting in combination with a pass skill. You know, if she's like a holy knight, you can run past people, rescue them, and that can be some nice, fun shenanigans for, you know, like trying to do low turn counts, or if you just want to do like some like weird strategies to get you somebody to the final boss or somebody out of harm's way, or even just bring somebody who's like footlocked. You know, you can have Bernadetta run up and rescue and chuck them up, and then this, you know, this footlocked unit, like maybe like a War Master or something, can be at the front line. So that could be kind of fun. It's like worse. It's just like an objectively worse warp, but yeah. Let's look into our combat arts. So the really important combat art here is Vengeance. Vengeance is the game-breaking one, especially in Bernadetta's hand. Vengeance, this does is it does more HP, or does more damage based on the amount of HP that you are missing. It also has, you know, 10 crit, which is nice, and 2 might. The only other characters who learn this are Dedue and Cyril, and they are just not realist. Like, Dedue's not a good character. Really, no matter what you do with him, he's not going to turn out good. Cyril is good, but he's more good for, like, point-blank volley, being a Wyvern Lord, you know, using art. Like, he's not really going to be using Vengeance like you can with him, but he's better for other reasons. So Bernadetta, especially when you pair that with her Persecution Complex, giving her +5 attack when she's not at full HP, that just inherently buffs Vengeance, and then Vengeance does a lot of HP, does a lot of damage, and then you can work your way into Brigand, get her Death Blow, so she's got another +6, that's +11 to attack to the Vengeance. If you have her in a class like Paladin or even Falcon Knight, if you want to do that, then she's got Lance Fair, so that's +16 damage to the Vengeance, and she can just do a whole lot of damage. Set her up with a Guard Adjutant, you know, someone like Caspar or Ferdinand are pretty good Guard Adjutants. I would recommend Caspar just because you don't really want to, you're not missing anything by not having him see combat anyways. Like, Ferdinand's a good enough unit that you should use him, but Caspar, you're not missing out. So you could put him as a Guard Adjutant on Bernadetta, get her to 1 HP pretty easily with that because she's so squishy and because of just the abundance of enemies that can double you and enemies that have Poison Strike and stuff like that. Get her 1 HP, let her go up, hit the boss with Vengeance, and just blow him up. One shot, complete another one shot. Plus her dexterity is going to be high enough that she's going to have a good crit rate. So that +10 crit from Vengeance will give her like high crit rates, like, you know, like in the 40% without much investment on things, and that's just always nice too. She's gonna have really good crit rates. You know, give her Killer Lance, get her Defiant crit if you're crazy and you want to get her to Wyvern Lord, get her Defiant crit. Wrath does not work on her because Wrath is an enemy phase thing, and obviously Vengeance you do on player phase, so don't worry about taking her to warrior. And let's take a look at her bow combat arts. Bow combat arts, she gets Deadeye, which is really only good for game boosting. The highlight here is Enclosure. Enclosure stops an enemy from moving for 1 turn, and the only other character that gets this, plus the 4 might is nice, the only other character that gets this is Claude, and he's only available in 1 route. So unless you're playing Golden Deer, you can recruit Bernadetta and have an Enclosure on your team in every route, and she's also available just for free in 2 routes. And if you ever want to recruit her, her requirements are really not that hard. You know, C-Bow is pretty easy to get. Like, it's pretty doable. Get her to like a C support, you only need, or get her to C+ support, you only need D+. It's a lot easier. And the strength threshold, you will just hit, like, you'll have 12 strength at base, basically. Yeah, so the strength threshold will be pretty easy to get to. Just the bow is you have to work on a little bit, and that's just not that hard. You know, bow's pretty easy to use. Just let Violet do some chip damage from afar. It'd be pretty easy to do that. So let's take a look at what inherently makes Bernadetta good and what makes her bad. So as we looked at her growth rates and her base stats, she just is very lackluster in terms of just stats. Like she's going to be falling behind your characters like Felix, your lords, Sylvain, Leone, Ferdinand's another one example. Um, she has the base stats of somebody like Caspar, somebody like Ash, who are just not good units. She's really weak. She's really carried by a lot of her skills, and which is her persecution complex, which is just consistent damage increase, which is consistent stat buff, which is always good, always good. And she's carried by just the fact that she's got these crazy combat arts, enclosure spam, just locking people down to one movement is always good. Even just chip damage from afar with a bow is always good. And Vengeance is game breaking, so you can do some silly stuff with that. Just some absolutely silly stuff with that. Let's take a look at some classes. So obviously she comes with a Noble. It's always good to Master Noble, so she gets the plus 5 HP. This always just helps her not be so squishy, and also will inherently just buff how strong Vengeance is because you're missing more HP when she's at 1 HP. It's always good to take her into Fighter, just give her some more strength so she does more chip damage. Obviously you're going to get to Fighter because of Bow, and she already comes with a Bow rank at D. Yeah, she comes with D Bow rank, so you already just get to Fighter no matter what. And then I would always recommend, if you're doing a new game file, like a fresh file, like a new game, no new game plus file, I would always recommend just, if you want to set it and forget it, just put her into Archer. Don't worry about Brigand for Deathblow. Just set her into Archer, give her hit plus 20, then go into Sniper, give her some Bowfare, Bow Range, and Hunter's Volley, let her spam that, and then eventually get her Riding and Lance up so that she can go into Bow Knight. More Bowfare, more Bow Range, she gets Canto, so she can do some Vengeance shenanigans with that. And then she gets Defiant Speed, but I mean, you can use that if you want to try to make her like a dodge tank. That can work, but I wouldn't worry about it. I definitely wouldn't worry about it. If you are looking for a Pegasus Knight, she can also do that pretty okay. I mean, there's definitely better choices such as like Hilda, Byleth, Leone, Ingrid, Petra, Edelgard. I'm trying to think of anyone else. I think that's it. So she's like the worst Pegasus Knight, but she can Pegasus Knight. It's an option for her because she has a neutral. She doesn't have any weaknesses or proficiencies in flying, so it's not that hard to train up. You can get her to Pegasus Knight, give her some more speed, give her Darting Blow, try to let her double, let her get the full lower HP, and gonna give her some good damage there. Try to make her more of a dodge tank, get her speed up, then take her to Falcon Knight, and you have Lancefare on Vengeance, and do some good damage there. The only big issue about Pegasus Knight for her is you cannot assign a guard adjutant to a flying class. So, setting up her low HP, her 1 HP Vengeance is a lot harder. And it's a lot harder and a lot more risky. Plus, there's just better flyer candidates out there. Your other Wyvern Lords, even your Dark Flyers. There's plenty of other flyer candidates. So, it's definitely an option, but I would not recommend it, personally. I would just recommend Archer, Sniper, Bow Knight. You can also do, if you are looking for a better Canto option, you want to get Pass as soon as possible, and you want to give her more movements. You want to give her Lancefare for higher damage Vengeance. You can totally take her into Cavalier. You're going to take a bit of a speed reduction, but you will get some more dexterity in this class, which is nice. Get her crit rate up a little bit higher, and also just give her some more strength and defense. So take her to Cavalier. Obviously, C Lance is pretty easy to get. She comes at E+, and she has a proficiency in it, so that'll be pretty easy. D Riding, you're going to want to work on that anyways to get Pass. And then she gets Canto, and then you take her straight into Paladin. Give her Lancefare. Give her so you can still have her use a bow. I would still recommend having her use a bow and use Curve Shot and Enclosure. And then Aegis can kind of help fight when she fights other archers or mages, but even still, I would just recommend keeping Bernadetta away from, getting attacked. Just let her run up, kill something with Vengeance, and run back. And then you can still work into Bow Knight at the end if you want to do some more with bows. And then you can switch between Bow Knight and Paladin, depending on whether you want the Bowfare or Lancefare. Now, if you have New Game Plus, this is where things get interesting. You can do a lot of silly shenanigans here. One is you can, if you really want to, you can work on her sword rank and get her Vantage and do some low HP, like Vantage Wrath stuff. So that on player phase, you know, she goes up and blows something up with Vengeance, and then on enemy phase, she blows something up with her high crit rate. Anyways, that's something you can do. I wouldn't recommend it with her. I think you just turn her into a player phase nuke and then have her run away and not get ever attacked on enemy phase. But as an option. It's also a lot easier to take her to Brigand to get her death blow for more damage output. You could take her into Armor Knight and give her the defense threshold, so her defense gets to the base Armor Knight base of 12, just to make her a lot less squishy. You could take her to Priest if you really want to try some miracle shenanigans, but just don't. Just don't. Both New Game Plus and just Fresh File, you could try to get her into Holy Knight, work on her face, so you can get the, obviously you can still have Canto, so you can Vengeance and then Canto away, or Enclosure and Canto away. And then you also have the ability to use magic and use rescue and physic, and also just increase your magic growth a little bit. If you want to do that, that's pretty easy to do on both Fresh File and especially on New Game Plus. Now, the really silly thing I recommend doing on New Game Plus, which is actually my favorite build for Bernadetta, and what I think is actually, at least in my opinion, like my kind of theory crafting and my testing, is honestly her best. Requires a lot of investment into her, so this is definitely not a set it forget it build. But what you do is you take her into Thief for certification. I mean, you want her to get Death Blow, so you take her to Brigand just to get Death Blow. You certify her as a Thief, and then you take her into either Assassin or Trickster, and I would always recommend Trickster instead. The key thing here is, well, she's not going to be using swords. She's not going to be actually attacking with swords. She's still going to be using her lance for vengeance, and she's going to be using her bows primarily. So you sacrifice Bowfair and Lancefair. But you gain this really nice skill called Stealth, which what Stealth does is if Bernadetta is, let's say, in range of an enemy, but so is Sylvain, and Sylvain's a paladin who doesn't have stealth. What that does is the enemy, even though Bernadetta's at 1 HP and they can guarantee kill her, they're not going to go target Bernadetta, they're going to target Sylvain, because stealth basically takes her off the enemy's radar. Now, if she's the only one in the enemy's radar, like, they're going to go attack her, but, if you have somebody else who can take a hit, pair it with Dimitri, who just enemy phase bullshits everything. Or a tank like Sylvain, like Balthus, Edelgard, Ferdinand. Plenty of good like tanky units like Leone, even Hilda, Sedith, plenty of units who can take a hit. So stealth just allows you to not really have to pull her back so far. I mean, you don't have to worry about like using rescue just to get her out away from enemy fire. Stealth allows you just to get her somewhere and she can be safe. Plus the Trickster and Thief line just gives her more speed and also gives her a little bit more dex too. Increases her dex rate by a little bit. But really helps on that speed growth. So she can avoid, if you ever really have to, she can possibly double some slower enemies. And just, it's always nice. Plus, foul play is always a nice thing just for repositioning purposes. If she's not going to be killing somebody, or if you don't want to use Enclosure to hit someone down, you want to maybe get one of your better units to the front lines, you can use foul play for some repositioning. You also get magic uses in Trickster, so you can use her rescue shenanigans. You can use, still get her budding talent and pass, or her budding talent for riding via pass, and then you can use rescue, and then you can still use physic, of course. It's only half uses, but you're not going to be using it that much. And then you also get Lucky 7, which can just randomly give you +5 strength. Hey, I'm going to blow something up even more. +5 magic. Hey, my physic heals more. Or hey, I have bigger rescue range. +5 speed. Oh, I can double now. +5 avoid. Hey, I'm not going to get hit. +5 defense, +5 rest. That doesn't really matter because you're going to be at 1 HP realistic with her anyways, but +5 hit. Hey, my Deadeye can hit now. See what I mean? Lucky 7's just really like, it's such a cheeky little ability. She doesn't miss Swordfair. She's not going to be using swords. And even though you miss Lancefair and Bowfair, like just stealth, she doesn't really need it. Honestly, like Vengeance is gonna kill things no matter what. And Bowfair, I mean, it'll help her with her enclosures doing more damage, but she's realistically not gonna be killing anything unless she's in Sniper and using Hunter's Volley. And even then, she's just not gonna be always killing everything. She's more just support, lock down things with enclosure, or use foul play for repositioning, rescue for repositioning, physic for healing, or you run up and kill something with Vengeance, and then you use stealth, let some other characters take the hits, and she stays alive, and you just utilize her to the fullest, and it's hilarious. And even if you want to give her Kanto, give her the fetters of Draw Me. Give her the fetters of Draw Me, gives her +1 move, give her some boots, and then she's basically got like 8-9 movement anyways, and she doesn't have like the penalty of like stairs and stuff because of being on a horse, so she can go through forests without taking any movement penalties because she's a thief / trickster / assassin. You know, the thieves and brawler lines don't take movement penalties from like forests. And yeah, she can still equip the guard adjutant. Really, really easy to use her. So this definitely takes a lot of investment because she has a weakness in swords, and she doesn't have a proficiency in faith, so it might take a little bit of time. This is why I recommend doing it New Game Plus. Definitely don't do this on like a fresh file. It's too much investment. It's not really worth it. Just put her Bow Knight, Paladin, War. What is it called? Holy Knight. One of those 3 classes: Bow Knight, Paladin, Holy Knight in fresh file. But if you want to get creative and go New Game Plus, definitely give Trickster Bernadetta a shot. It's hilarious. It is like this is considering maddening. You know, I'm going to be using her in my Blue Lions no magic run, which I'm not going to be able to use Rescue and Physic, but I'm still going to use Trickster for foul play, for repositioning, and for Lucky 7 is funny and stealth. You could also do Assassin if you really want to. Assassin doesn't give you the utility. I mean, you get lethality, but that's bad. And you get Sword Fair, but like she's not going to be using swords, so I mean, unless you really want to do some like Vantage, like give her Vantage from Mercenary, give her Sword Fair, give her Killing Edge, give her, I don't know. You can, if you really want to try that, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, give Stealth Bernadetta. That's kind of the name of my build. Give Stealth Bernadetta a try. I hope this inspires you to kind of try some things out. It's actually really broken. Like she's this hilarious middle ground of being a bad unit and a broken unit, which is why she's just so funny. Like character-wise, I'm not a big fan. You might be a big fan. I'm definitely not a big fan. But unit-wise, I think she's just so fun. She's just such a funny, dumb, stupid, hilarious, broken unit to use. You know, you can do a lot of different things with her. So I hope this gives you some inspiration on what to do with Bernadetta. You know, if you're looking for a fun unit to try out, definitely give her a shot. Hopefully this gives you some ideas on how you want to use her. Also, maybe if this kind of pushes you away from using her, then, you know, there you go. You know, if you thought maybe I want to give her a try, but she seems like too much work, she's definitely a lot of work. So don't push yourself. You know, if you want to use a better character, definitely use like a better character. But yeah, that's Bernadetta in a nutshell. Little unit review on her. She's good and bad at the same time. Let me know who you guys want to see next. I plan on doing characters like Sylvain and Ferdinand, you know, doing like a Swift Strikes unit review. I want to do Balthus, who's another kind of clutch, low HP build, fun guy like that. I did Yuri and Cyril already. Let me know what other characters you guys want to see unit reviews on. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like Bernadetta, if there's any other classes I missed that you think are really worth trying. Oh, I also forgot to mention in New Game Plus, try to get her to Wyvern Lord to get a Defiant crit, which just makes her Vengeance have like 50% plus crit rates. It's hilarious. Even more hilarious. She's dumb. She's dumb. She's so dumb. Like it's a lot of investment, but it's funny. It's just funny. It's hilarious. She could just be a delete button. She's literally just a delete button. A player phase delete button. And enemy phase, she's basically useless. But yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If there's any classes that you really like or any, if you tried Flyer Bernadetta in you, or you want to try Flyer Bernadetta, let me know if you think I'm an idiot for recommending Trickster Bernadetta. It's really weird. Let me know if you think I'm an idiot, or if you think it's funny and you think it's a good idea. Let me know what characters you guys want to see next. Like and subscribe. I always appreciate it. I always want to make my content grow. I love doing a lot of Fire Emblem content. Follow me on Twitch and check out my streams while you see my draft low turn count runs, my Blue Lions no magic maddening run. I'm gonna do Golden Deer fresh file run. A couple of other run ideas. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a Byleth and Church Staff only run of Silver Snow. You know, that could be really hard and kind of fun. Maybe not fun, maybe just painful. But yeah, follow my Twitch. It's twitch.tv/sane_j. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.